Hi folks, lesson number 24, Hebrew for All, and we're going to learn something new in today's class. So come along with me and we'll get started. Okay, so in today's class we're going to be expanding the master plan. We have, at the present moment in time, the verbs lishmor and liknot underneath it, and off to the right with a number 1 next to it we have the verb lakum. In today's class we're going to be introducing a new concept. The concept is called the guttural letters. The guttural letters refers to the following letters: Aleph, Hey, Chet, Ayin, and those are really the 4 guttural letters. And I'm going to write a little tiny resh down there because it's really, in the perspective of many of the famous grammarians of the Hebrew language, not really a guttural letter, despite the fact that in modern day Israel people pronounce resh in the throat. But that's what the concept of the guttural letter is. It's those letters that their origin is, so to speak, in the gutter, in the throat, and it's the way Hebrew was designed and the way it was meant to be used. So we're going to have to understand how the presence of one of those letters affects, for example, verb patterns. Although it's most accurate to say that in the Hebrew language, the presence of a guttural letter in a noun, in a verb, in an adjective, in any part of the language may well affect the pronunciation of that word. So we're going to start with the case or the example of what I would call the second root letter is a guttural. And the example I'm going to be using is lish ol, not a verb that we've had up until this point in time. My hope is that when you guys see the verb lish ol, your first thought is, lishmor type verb. I can do that, but I call your attention and remind you that we've got an aleph there in the middle, which is a second root letter. So, here are the 4 forms of the present tense of lish'ol. Sho'el, no problem with that, looks just like shomer. The second one is sho'elet, no problem with that, it looks just like shomeret. And now we have the third form, and it is sho'alim, and that's a change. And then finally we have sho'alot. So we see in the 2 plural forms, this one, feminine plural, and this one, in masculine plural, that we've changed the dot underneath the middle letter of the root. And just to show you, if I write down the word shomrim over here, you see that we are no longer with just the 2 standing dots under the mem. The 2 dots have actually moved off to the right, and now we've added in that straight line underneath it. Now, the 2 general rules of the guttural letters are: 1, the guttural letter loves the ah sound. We see that in this particular verb, sho'alim, sho'alot. And the second rule that you might not see so clearly yet is that don't lose the guttural letter, play it. What I mean to say by that is, had I placed those 2 standing dots that are under the mem of shomrim underneath the alephs in the 2 plural forms, I would have pronounced that word by definition sho'lim, sho'lot. We would have lost, per se, the guttural letter. Don't want to do that. We want the guttural letter to be maintained because it's part and parcel of the Hebrew language. So this is our first example with an aleph. Our second example will be the verb lin hog. I'm aware of the fact that I'm not giving you definitions, folks, because I'm confident you're going to be able to look them up on your own. Lin hog, 4 forms of the present tense. Noheg, no heget, no ha-im, no ha-goat. Right? Once again, up playing the guttural letter. The third example we're going to give is getting a teeny bit out of order intentionally, is lean ol with an ayin in the second root letter position. Four forms of the present tense. Give it a pause me, and give it a little bit of an attempt on your own. Say it out loud to yourselves, to anyone else in the room that could be listening to you. No el, no elet, no alim, no alot. And once again, we're up playing the ayin to make sure that we can hear it clearly. And the last example I want to give is the one with the chet, leave hor. Very popular verb of the Hebrew language. And the four forms of the present tense are bocher, bocheret. We would think, if we're following the rules perfectly, we should have bocharim and bocharot. But in fact, it's the nature of the chet that even if we don't upplay it, we can hear it. So therefore, bochrim and bochrot are both considered perfect Hebrew. This isn't a modern Israeli adaptation of the language, which will be perfectly fine in its own right. In fact, it's from the most ancient texts of the Hebrew language that we see this fundamental concept that sometimes the chet is upplayed and sometimes it's left, say, just with its two standing dots, and that's because we would hear it anyway. And hence, both of these, only in the case of the chet as the second letter guttural, are perfect answers. Now, what did we learn in this particular class right now? What we learned is that there's a group of letters that we added into the master plan called the guttural letter. Aleph, Hey, Chet, and Ayin. And those letters have special characteristics. We dealt in this class with the case of where the second root letter is a guttural. In the present tense, the variations that it creates. Sho'alim, sho'alot. In the two plural forms, that's where the variation occurs. So I hope that's clear. In the upcoming class, I'll speak about the third root letter being a guttural. In the following class, I'll speak about the first root letter being a guttural. And then, in that class, I hope to explain to you how the impact of the presence of one of these guttural letters may or may not be affecting the past tense as well. That's all for now, folks. Hope you had as much fun as I did learning Hebrew. All the best. Shalom, shalom.